Hi, welcome aboard Aviatory Airlines. Your safety is our #1 priority, and we recommend you direct your attention to the screen as well as your cabin crew. As you enter the aircraft, please make sure your hand luggage is stored in the overhead lockers or under the seat in front of you. Please store it carefully, as it may fall and cause injuries.
Make sure all of the pathways are free of belongings, as this may slow the boarding process. During takeoff and landing, please have your tray table emptied and stowed. Make sure all electronic devices are switched off or switched on airplane mode. Please note that this is a non-smoking flight. No e-cigarettes, cigarettes, or cigars are allowed on board, as they will trigger the smoke alarm.
In the unlikely event of a water emergency, your life jackets are stowed under your seat. For any Ruby, Amethyst, Ember, or Phoenix pass holders, your life jacket is located to the right of your seat. We will now demonstrate how to put on your life jacket. Take the life jacket out the plastic covering and place it over your head. Wrap the straps around your waist and tie it in a double knot. On the right of your life jacket is a whistle and a light. To the left is a tube to further inflate the life jacket. When you hear the sound, brace, brace, adopt the brace position as shown by cabin crew. En route exiting the aircraft, during both water or ground emergency landings, know the nearest exit to your seat. Please pay attention to your flight crew as they now point out your emergency exits. Along the rows are lights that follow to the nearest exit.
During a water landing, inflate your life jacket as you leave the aircraft. Remove any high heels and leave all personal belongings behind. In the event of cabin pressure, oxygen masks will fall from above your head. For those seated in the Phoenix division, the mask may fall to the right or left of your seat. Please take note of your position. Pull the mask to your mouth and nose. Place it over your head, adjust the straps, and breathe normally. Please note that the bag of the oxygen mask does not inflate. Make sure to wear the mask yourself before helping others.
As we are approaching the runway, please ensure that your electronic devices are switched off, your tray tables are stowed away, and the aisles are free from baggage. Thank you for choosing Aviatory Airlines, and we hope you have a pleasant flight with us today.
Cabin crew, please be seated for takeoff. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, as the seatbelt sign has now been switched off, you may now use the lavatory and switch on your electronic devices. Please note that smoking is still prohibited on board. Service will commence in approximately 15 minutes. Thank you, and have a great rest on the flight.
Hello, thank you for your attention to our on-flight safety briefing. We would like to discuss an issue that has been affecting airlines as well as passengers, the issue of overbooking flights. Although it's legal for airlines to overbook, it causes major conflict between the passengers.
To expand your knowledge of the situation, we have categorized various perspectives including local, national, as well as international. And as Aviatory Airlines, we would like to raise concern for this matter. Our aim today is to raise awareness regarding the issue of overbooking flights and allow you to understand how airlines plan on satisfying on those denied boarding.
These are the airlines we have chosen today. For local, we have selected Air Macau. For national, we have selected Ryanair, Delta, and United. And for our international selections, we've included British Airways and American Airlines.
Let's start off with what overbooking is. Overbooking is a legal act where an airline purposely sells more tickets to earn more income. Airlines do this in case there are no-shows, which is when passengers don't show up for boarding. Many circumstances can lead to passengers being no-shows, such as injuries, sickness, last-minute cancellations, or even tardiness.
Their aim is to make sure the aircraft can be as full as possible in order to maximize their profits. The main reason to why they decide to overbook flights would be to recover costs for seat cancellations and passengers that don't show up for the flight. However, overbooking of flights is also said to benefit the passenger as well. If the flight has extra seats before it departs, it can be bought at a discounted rate, which also profits the airline as well.
If airlines suddenly decide to stop overbooking flights, they won't be able to regain their lost revenue, which would most possibly lead to the prices of airline tickets to go up. Charles Leocha, chairman and co-founder of the non-profit organization Travelers United, told the Time magazine. The airlines normally do a pretty good job on overbooking, he said. People know it's coming, and they are willing to allow themselves to get bribed off the flight. People who are actually bumped and are really irritated about it are almost non-existent. It's a tiny percentage, but the people who want lower prices are around 100%.
When an airline has overbooked a flight, some passengers may have to get bumped, but first they will ask if any passengers would be willing to give up their seats for a later flight. If there are no volunteers, some passengers will be taking off the flight involuntarily. According to the Canadian Transportation Agency, the Canadian carriers will usually help passengers that are voluntarily or involuntarily bumped to find a seat on the next available flight at no additional cost. Additionally, the U.S. Department of Transportation says it requires airlines to ask people who are in a hurry to give up their seats voluntarily in exchange for compensation.
According to TripSavvy, how the airline decides between two passengers if they have the same seat is through which passenger is less desperate to go on the flight, leaving the one desperate passenger behind. Since the airline knows that the more desperate the passenger is to reach the destination, the probability is higher that they will pay their airline again to earn a seat. So how do airlines make sure your overbooking condition is reasonable?
According to American Airlines, gate agents will first ask for volunteers who are willing to give up their seats in exchange for compensation for confirmed seats on a later flight. However, in some occasions, the passenger may have to be denied boarding if the sufficient number of volunteers are not obtained, cited in the American Airlines website. In instances where there are voluntary denied boarding, the passengers will be given an appropriate amount of travel credit in exchange for their seat. In instances where there are involuntary denied boarding, passengers will be compensated depending on how late you'll arrive at your destination. However, you will not receive involuntary denied boarding compensation if your flight arrives at your final destination within an hour of the original arrival time.
For more information about the general compensation conditions, you may visit our website, which also includes other information about this matter.
On United Airlines, denied boarding from overbooked flights is quite similar to the conditions of compensation on American Airlines flights. In situations where there are not enough volunteers to give up their seats, you could end up being denied boarding, where only if your rebooked flight arrives up to an hour later than the original arrival time, you will not receive denied boarding compensation.
However, on British Airways, directly stated on their website, in order to minimize the effects of customers who book for travel but do not turn up, British Airways, like most major airlines, may overbook flights. In rare occasions where the flight is overbooked, they will follow the general procedure of allowing willing volunteers to give up their seats. However, if a sufficient number of volunteers are not met, passengers may be denied boarding based on their check-in time. Although they will still consider various factors, such as quoted by the airline, severe hardships, fare paid, and status within our frequent flyer program. Furthermore, passengers who are denied boarding will also be given compensation according to their policy. You can refer to the compensation conditions on our website.
Ryanair, which is our choice for the national perspective, flying across the European Union area, also overbooked their flights. Although, according to Ryanair themselves, they deny that they overbook, but there was a claim from an ex-staff member on Ryanair that they do overbook their airlines. Where Ryanair says that it is the only airline in Europe that does not overbook its flights. Although, unlike other airlines, Ryanair already make multiple passengers pay twice for a service with Ryanair and multiple credit card fees, despite the customer only purchasing it in a single transaction.
According to TripSavvy.com, Ryanair is more likely to deny boarding to passengers because they care less about bad press compared to other big airlines.
Ryanair has some unique reasons to why passengers could be denied boarding. Pregnant passengers who don't have a doctor's note in English. No stamped on boarding pass for non-EU citizens. If you don't have your boarding pass stamped by a member of staff at the info desk, you will be denied boarding if you attempt to board the plane. Oversized luggage. Slight damage to passport. Deaf or blind passengers that are traveling alone. With a leg in a cast. Passengers with their leg in a cast must purchase 3 seats or they will be denied boarding.
Air Macau was selected as a local perspective, traveling to 24 destinations all over Asia. We want to see how our own region's airline has to say about this matter. Like any other airline, Air Macau overbooks. According to Lexority.com, it states that overbooking is legal in Macau, but you can be entitled to a compensation of up to 5,400 MOP, or 600 euros, on flights of Air Macau. In order to have a confirmed reservation on the flight, you will have to receive a reservation and any document that states that their payment has been accepted and registered.
According to Delta Airlines' official website, they state that they will handle bumped passengers on the overbooked flights with fairness and consistency, where in cases where the flight results in being overbooked, they will comply with all applicable regulations for handling the flight. The policies of treating their customers with fairness and consistency include providing information on airports, requesting volunteers for denied boarding, offering transportation credit if you voluntarily give up your seat, compensation for involuntarily denied boarding, rebooking service, and providing hotel accommodations.
In conclusion to our collection of airline perspectives, it is a common theme for companies to overbook, as it provides them with good profit. We decided to take a look for ourselves and directly contact some of the airlines to see what they had to say about this concerning process. Our website has all the information of what we found. Thank you.